You know, the Suns couldn't get a win over the Magic, which is sad, but I figured I might as well do some magic for everybody in here. We're going to disappear, and we'll be right back.
Surely no. Espo won't because of his position, but I can see Lindsay and Gerald leaving for a better future. They're
That's
already
crazy.
bouncing from the fuck.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to the PHNX Suns post-game show presented by Bet365. Download the Bet365 app, use that code PHNX365, and you sign up and find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I don't know about you guys, but I'm tired of losing. I just want to go back to winning.
No, I love losing. It's so much fun.
The sad music sucks. The vibes are not great.
Yeah, you know, I'd leave if it weren't for my position here. That's where we're
I'm
at.
just really hoping for a better future.
I hope you
You
get
know
it
what I
too.
mean? I'm just really hoping for a better future.
We'll see.
Under my leadership, not likely to happen. So
Thank you guys for joining us for the post-game show. We appreciate you all being here. Hit that thumbs up button if you're here with us on YouTube. The Phoenix Suns fall to the Orlando Magic 109-99. The Suns are now 9-6 on the season. It's just a bummer, you guys. Like, this game wasn't it. Now, granted, it was the second night of a back-to-back. We're very shorthanded, but there just wasn't as much oomph as we had from the team last night.
Ted Offensive has a very relevant question for you.
for me,
Yes.
okay, what is it?
Is there no more magic left in those purple pants?
My wife sure hopes not. Take that as you will, but my wife sure hopes not.
Somebody said you have to wear the cowboy hat. That's the hat that you need to wear.
I'll say this: if you guys buy me the Valley cowboy hat, I'll wear it for you. But I'm not spending my own hard-earned cash on wearing that cowboy hat during a game.
SN in the chat says, in all caps, our offense is being suffocated by every team's defense, especially good defensive teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's tough. And I know a lot of people are like, what excuses are you going to have for Book? What excuses are you going to have for this team? I want you guys to not look at these as excuses, because I don't think any of us are going to sit up here and say, oh, well, it's okay for Devin Booker to play at this level, or, oh, it's okay for the Suns to lose. It's more about you look at your circumstances, and when you watch sports for long enough, you find certain patterns. And one of those patterns is in any sport, but specifically the NBA, where there are 5 players on your team on the court at one time. When you miss one of your 3 best players, including your best player, let alone 2, it's hard to be a good team because your entire philosophy and identity is built around your best players, Espo. So when you miss them, you're not just missing how good they are, you're missing your identity.
Yeah, and that's certainly the case. I mean, any team like we were talking about on the watch along that is missing 2 of their 3 best players is going to struggle. But I'm not going to put lipstick on the pig either. Devin Booker can't play like this, and the Suns hope to win, right? This is not what you've come to expect. We've seen him play with worse supporting casts around him and do more offensively. Now, Stevens very astutely pointed out multiple times on the program the defenses that are being thrown at Book and the different things that he has to do to be effective. But I feel like tonight, where in Minnesota on Sunday, he was very aggressive, going to the bucket, trying to get to the line, doing those things. Tonight, I didn't feel like he was like that. And when Devin Booker isn't aggressive, Devin Booker isn't Devin Booker. And those are the little things that I don't know if it's because Mike Budenholzer is encouraging them to shoot more threes, and Book feels like he's got to pull more often than drive, but you gotta play the hits, right? You always hear bands, we gotta play the hits because that's what people are here for. Devin Booker has to go back to playing the hits. What got him here and put him in the position he's in?
What's Devin Booker's ultra number one asset that he brings to the team?
His number one ultra asset. It's his scoring.
Aggressiveness. Yeah.
Lindsay, you got an answer there?
I would say scoring.
Correct. 17 points on 14 shots is not his calling card.
Nope.
That's the player that people thought he was when he came into the league. That's not the player that we've grown to see him be, which is an efficient, tough shot maker and a player that can really shift the game regardless of what defense has been thrown at him when he has the ball in his scoring areas. We saw what he did in Minnesota on Sunday. This team, Orlando, is of a similar ilk in terms of their defensive level that they can reach from player to player, as well as the coach that they have on the sideline that's drawing up the schemes. He had his moments. He had his pockets in this game. This was no different in terms of the template. Draw two to the ball, sometimes play make, sometimes turn the corner, sometimes find a pocket to score. You have to show up for your team.
Well, and when they cut it in the fourth too, Eric, we discussed this. Book was aggressive. He started getting to the hoop more. Yeah. And I just want to see that.
So you mentioned Book getting in his pockets. And I think when you have a fully healthy roster and you have other superstars, especially other superstars on the offensive end, it's okay and in fact encouraged for Book to go in and out of these pockets and let the game come to him and then accelerate and then pull off the gas and then accelerate. You can't be waiting for those pockets in this situation. And that's the problem is Devin Booker is still letting the game come to him. And the problem with that, when you're the only star on the floor, especially as people have pointed out against good defensive teams with good defensive philosophies, is the entire game is going to be about stopping you. So if you let the game come to you, you're going to be put in a bad situation. You have to flip that on its head, and you did that against Minnesota. And Minnesota, in turn, still didn't play defense like OKC did, where they put so much attention on Book. Because guess what? When they did, he started making these right passes and getting other people involved because he put his foot on the gas first. He needs to be the initiator. He needs to be the one who controls the game. And right now, Lindsay, Devin Booker is not the one controlling the game.
Well, it's also tough too. Like, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, but I think Book has just been struggling a little bit more as of late with the double team. He's been struggling a little bit more to find his pockets as well as he has in the past because of what teams are throwing at him. But here's the thing, like, he's now 10 years in. I think teams are kind of picking up on what he's putting down, and they have a little bit more ability to kind of disrupt that to an extent with Book. You know what I mean? And when you're missing scorers around you who would help with the spacing, what else are you going to do?
Well, wasn't part of why you got Tyus Jones so you could have Devin Booker be off the ball, run him through screens, find ways to, in these situations, break him free of those double teams? And I don't feel like we've seen enough of that. We've seen a lot of Tyus Jones being the guy in the corner, the guy off the ball. And while at times that can be effective, I really feel like the whole point was to put Devin Booker in a better situation. And at times we're not seeing that because if he's not bringing the ball up, that double team isn't as effective, right? Because you can draw up schemes to get past that.
Yeah. And to that point, I would like to see a better blend of the two to the ball, which is obviously an offense in and of itself. You don't have to draw anything up. You put players at different pockets on the floor in your spacing template. You put Devin Booker in two-player actions to get the two to the ball, and then you play out of that. That's one dynamic of it, but it's like, and then what? Because you can't just keep pressing that button. Teams are going to ultimately hit a button to counter that, which we saw with Jamal Mosley in the fourth quarter, going from Bataze, who was putting two to the ball, to Jonathan Isaac, who was just flat-out switching it and guarding Devin Booker and containing it. You have to have more layers to your offense. I know we're going to present the context. He's not with his full Rolodex of firepower, yes, but there's still other things you can do. We saw him try it a couple of times, having Tyus Jones initiate, and Devin Booker's coming off of stagger screens and wide pin downs. They just didn't go to it enough to me.
Agreed.
Well, and that's why, as much as we can look at Book, and I believe that a lot of this does fall on Book, I don't feel like he is being set up to be put in the best position right now. And I don't know if that's on Mike Budenholzer. I don't know if that's on the guys on the court at this time. I don't know if that's on Book, maybe not demanding it. We saw Dwayne Rankin put out a clip about Book saying he's not in the business of shooting over double and triple teams because that's what he was doing in his early years. And maybe he just doesn't feel like he needs to be put in that spot because he's like, oh, well, I'm just going to do what I can for us to win. But at a certain point, you need to do what I believe Devin did to Kevin Durant at the beginning of last year when they played the Lakers. And he pulled him aside and he said, stop worrying about me. Stop caring about what I'm doing. Go out there and be you, and go out there and be the person who doesn't have to worry about the rest of the team and be the greatest player on the court. And Devin Booker needs to give himself that same speech right now. Hey, go out there and just dominate. Don't sit back. Don't wait. If they're not drawing plays for you, if they're not putting you in the right position, say something and change it. Because as much as this isn't a must win and we're early in the season and there's a lot of people missing, there is a lot changing with this team right now, momentum-wise, and you don't want to have 5 straight losses no matter any scenario.
It was definitely a get-right game at the very least.
Yeah, I hate... Okay, I'm going to defend Book a little bit on that comment that Dwayne had there. I don't think you want him to be the guy that was shooting over double and triple teams from early in his career, because that guy wasn't contributing to winning basketball. I think we've seen Devin Booker over the last handful of years show how he can score without being that guy, show how he can contribute to winning basketball without being that guy. And I think that was more the point. I think it was kind of taken out of context in the way people reacted to it, because we've seen Devin shoot when he's double teamed, the shot feels right to him, but he's not actively doing that just because he's the only one that should chuck it, right? Mm-hmm. And that was the mentality early on, mostly because he was around a bunch of G League guys. No disrespect to G League guys, but that was the reality of who was on the roster with him. So I think there's a fair amount of blame that you can put at Devin Booker's feet, but I don't think that's one of the things that should be criticized.
Yeah, some of that has to go to Mike Budenholzer and the brain trust. I don't want to put it specifically on him. I would say the brain trust as a whole. Mm-hmm. So we talked about it with the Devin Booker season preview, how under Monty Williams and Kevin Young, what a hallmark of the offense was, especially once they got Chris Paul, was Devin Booker in pistol action, Devin Booker on quick wide pin downs, Devin Booker off of staggers, Devin Booker post-ups. There's a multitude of different off-ball actions that you can make him a moving target. And when their offense was at their best in that era of Suns basketball, he was a top 97 percentile player off of handoffs and 2-player actions, starting off the ball and then getting the ball. If defenses defend that well, okay, retreat dribble. Now we go to pick and roll. The defenses move. You might have manipulated a matchup or two, and the process is just way different. And I feel like that's what they need to get back to, and I think that's maybe the best takeaway from this time without the other two of the big three. Getting Devin Booker back into those sets and actions that made him the efficient all-star, all-NBA caliber scoring guard that he is, and then building a boat off of that.
Well, and you saw how efficient he could be on Sunday.
Exactly.
And then you come to it tonight, and it's a different situation.
And you saw what we saw on Sunday. We saw him off the ball, dribble handoffs, post-ups, a little bit of pistol. We just didn't see the organization to the process the way that we saw it in Minnesota.
Why do you attribute that to?
Well, like I was saying, I think that's a little bit of everybody. I don't think anybody's absolved of blame. Some of it is Devin Booker, because if he's not comfortable with what's being ran, who's going to say something if he says, hey, I want to run a little bit more zoom action today. Put me in a little bit more pistol. Like, who's going to say, no, we're not going to do that? They're going to do whatever he wants to do. So he's not absolved, but the brain trust can't be absolved either. So I feel like there are multiple people that are the culprits right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's a tough situation to be in. That's for sure. We do have a couple super chats here. Trevor sent us one. Thank you, Trevor. And they said, can't even beat a shorthanded Magic team. Sad face emoji.
Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, both teams were shorthanded, and the Magic aren't as bad as they once were.
Shorthand. They're missing, and I get it, Paolo Banchero, a big part of the Magic, but they were essentially missing one serious piece of their rotation, right? Go look at the other side of the injury list.
I mean, and Orlando, what, second best defense?
The best in this 5-year window. Don't disrespect Wendell Carter Jr.
That's true. That's true. You're a former Chicago Bull friend there. I remember.
Yeah. Matthew also sent us one and said, why I wasn't too high earlier this season. I'm tired. I don't blame you for tempering your expectations, even during a nice little streak of wins. But I also would say don't deprive yourself of the joy that comes with that either. Like, I know the ultimate goal is to win a championship, but that doesn't mean you can't have fun and lean into it along the way.
Look, I get it. A lot of fans are gonna ride and die with every up and down in this regular season. Some fans, will take it harder than others, but the reality is nobody's going to be happy if things don't go well in April, May, and June.
Yep.
Right? Like that's all that in the end is going to matter. Like, yeah, you were 8-1, now you're 9-6. Okay, injuries, whatever. Right? You could go bulldoze through the rest of this month and into December, and then kill the weak January schedule that you have, and could be back at the top of the West. And it ain't going to matter if April you're not healthy again or whatever the case may be. So there's going to be ups and downs a lot between now and then. And again, it's all just going to ride on what happens in April.
One quick thing, the reason why this down feels so down, the Suns' longest losing streak last season was 3 games. We're at 4 right now. So you already have a longer losing streak than anything you had last season. The last time they lost at least 4 games in a row was a December to January stretch in the 22-23 season where they lost 6 in a row. Earlier that month, they lost 5 in a row. So you have not seen this team drop this many games in a row in quite some time. And I just think that the highs and lows last season, it felt very kind of constant, up and down, even within the game. And right now you're hitting an elongated low stretch, and it's hard not to lose some joy and happiness, but this is not going to be who this team is, and you should take some solace in that in this moment, even if it still stings.
Perspective is lost, right? Because you did have Mike Budenholzer have the best 9-game stretch for a coach to start in Phoenix Suns history. Then 3 of the 5 starters got injured, and now you have a losing streak. I mean, when you look at it logically, you can understand what's going on here. It's not like everything's the same as the 8-1 start, and then you drop those games. That's when I'd be seriously concerned, right? But you don't have that. And yes, injuries are a big concern, but both of these injuries to Beal and KD seem like things that, as long as we're being told the reality of it, they should both be back by the beginning of December, and then you can really judge again. Now, if there's a major injury, a major setback, then totally different thing we're talking about.
Quick question for everybody.
Yes.
Does the start to this season and the I won't say excitement, what was impressive about that start to the season outweigh the low that we're seeing them at now for you all?
Great question. Let's answer it on the other side of a quick break. We are so proud to have Sanderson Ford as a part of our PHNX family, and Sanderson Ford is super thankful to have lived and prospered for the past 70 years in Glendale, Arizona. They're thankful for their 500 employees who take care of their customers, making Sanderson Ford America's most awarded Ford dealership. And they're very thankful for you, their customers. For without your support, they couldn't give back and support our community with events like Operation Santa Claus. So they're saying thank you with a Black Friday thank you sale the entire month of November with great offers. Get a new 2024 Ford F-150 truck with 3.9 APR financing for 66 months, plus up to $4,000 cash back. Similar savings on over 900 new and pre-owned vehicles on the lot. So don't miss the Sanderson Ford Black Friday thank you sale. Disclaimer, OAC through Ford credit, up to $4,000 cash back, requires trade-in of 95 or newer vehicle. Offer expires November 30th.
Well, we got to talk about our friends over at Bet365 because it's never ordinary with them. And you know what? I got to tell you, I have used all the platforms, and this is the one I enjoy the most. And right now, new customers can choose between 2 offers when they sign up with an account at Bet365 using that promo code PHNX365 to sign up. You deposit $10 and place a bet of $5 or more. I'm just going to tell you, do this. $150 in bonus bets. That's all you need to do. That's all you need to know. That's the way you got to go about it. And when you bet on basketball, if you bet on a team to win and they go up by 20 points or more, no matter if it happens the first 5 minutes of the game or the final 5, you're going to win early with that. Even if the other team comes back and your team blows the lead, you're going to instantly win on that. So download the Bet365 app. Use promo code Bet365 when you sign up and place a bet of $5 or more and get $150 in bonus bets. Find out why, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or over, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 53342, or visit problemgambling.az.gov.
All right, Steven, set us up again. Ask us your question.
So does the impressive nature of the start of the season outweigh this low that the team is currently on for you all? You just kind of going any order
Yes.
with that.
I think yes, simply because there are reasons to point to why the Suns are struggling. It's not like they just fell off a cliff out of nowhere. And when they were fully healthy, they were killing it. They were one of the best teams in the NBA. And I get it. Injury luck is not always lucky with this team, but every team deals with it. If you do get lucky in the postseason, I feel confident in this team, and it always hinged on that. So I'll lean with the positive. What about you, Espo?
No, I have a cold, hard, iced heart right now, and in general, in the way I approach things. Look, logically, that part of my brain can say, yeah, this is what it is, right? But that's 10% of who I am. And the other 90% is screaming, we've been here before. We've seen this script before. This team's injured. This team is not going to be able to pull it out because, I've been a fan for 35 years now, and 35 years of history has taught me that that's just what happens with this team. Now, that's not a healthy way to react to it. That's not a logical way to react to it. And it very well may be the wrong way to react to it in the end this year. But the fan in me, and if I'm being a fanalist here, that's where my head goes, my mind goes, is we've seen this before. And I don't like that feeling, right? And again, nothing's going to change in how I feel until they win that 16th game in April through June, because I've been through so much heartbreak, and I can't just put that aside and hope for something different. I did that in 2020-21. I did that with the 64-win team. You know what I was rewarded with? Getting punched in the gut again. And so I'm going to be guarded, and I understand why other people would be guarded in that. Now, I'm not demanding you trade everybody and cut guys and move on because all is lost, but I also am unwilling to just give in to the positive feeling just because it was there for a fleeting moment in an 8-1 start.
Okay, that's fair. You don't have to give in to the full positive, but you also don't have to drag everyone else, not you necessarily. Okay, I'm not speaking directly to you, Espo, but to the depths of hell with you. Like, just because we're on a bad stretch right now doesn't mean we all should be completely down and out and the most miserable we've ever been in our entire lives. Like, you can be upset about the situation, but you can also put a little bit of understanding behind why we are in the situation. Like, injuries suck. And you could say, sure, we're an injury-prone team, and that's what you get when you have this, that, and the other on your team or whatever reason. But those are the cards that we've been dealt. We are not Matt Ishbia. We're not James Jones. We don't get to have those decisions. What we get to decide is if we're going to stay committed to a team or not. And if it's that bad, I don't know, maybe take a break.
I'm just at this point where
I just feel like there's no way it can be that bad just yet.
I'm a very emotional person, very highs and lows. If you watch a game with me, like, the smallest thing will happen. I'll be like, that means something to me. And I love this team with my whole heart. I'm just at a place right now where if it's denial, if it's coping, I don't really care. I cannot on November 18th be worried about what our health looks like in April, because we could be perfectly healthy right now, ripping off a Cavs start to the season, and there would still be a thought in my head of, Are we peaking too early? Are we, all healthy right now, but we're not going to be healthy in the postseason? Nothing about right now guarantees what happens at the end. And all I care about is the playoffs. That's all I care about. And I love this team, and I'll live and die with every game. But overall, I can't go doom until we're getting to the playoffs and it's Book is out and Beal is out and Katie is out again. And here we go. Like, sure, it could definitely happen. I'm not not mentally prepared for it, but I'm not putting myself in that space until I have to.
I'm not saying that we should all turn into a walking Suns Facebook group, right? I'm not saying that we all have to be the darkest corner of the Twitter streets, right? That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying internally, I'm not buying into anything until I have proof that what we're seeing now isn't where I'm going to wind up in terms of injuries, because I saw this last year. I saw the team be injured. I've seen great teams have catastrophic things happen. I'm going to be guarded because this is probably the most unhealthy relationship I've had in my life that has given me some of the most joyous moments as well. And I will enjoy those highs, but I am unwilling to just give in my whole heart because of it. And that's probably because I'm a damaged human being, Steven. And you asked a question that got much darker and more psychological than you expected. And I apologize for that.
First thing in the chat, I don't know who started it. Franz Wagner is not a role player in any capacity.
He's been really good.
I just want to be the fire extinguisher because I see people reacting to it. I would like for it to kind of go away from that because this dude, no, he's not even close to a role player. Yes, Paolo Banchero is their best player, but if he's their best player, that doesn't make Franz a role player. Kevin Durant is the Suns' best player. Does that mean Devin Booker is a role player? No.
Well, in some people's mind, in those dark corners of the Twitter streets, yes.
Anyway, to get back to the question that I posed, I think there is something in the middle with all of it. I think there's a lot that we learned from this team when they were 9-1. I think that some of the things that we grew to learn were inconsistent have grown louder without the other two of the big three involved in the lineup. And I think the primary thing with that is the featuring of Devin Booker. And past the featuring of Devin Booker getting himself going on efficiency in a sustained manner as a scorer. He hasn't been what this team needs him to be for them to be a championship contending or winning team. And that's just one of a few things within the mix of it all.
And that is the healthy way to look at it, right? That's the balance that we all should take, that we should be looking at it and understanding the realities of the situation. I am just at 41, not mentally mature enough to do that.
Listen, Espo, you should take a page out of my book. What I do, not during the season, sometimes during the season, but if it was bad, like last year, just pretend it didn't happen. That's what I do.
That sounds less healthy than what I'm doing.
I just pick out the couple of things that I need to remember, and then the good times and everything else, I just pretend like it didn't happen. We're starting over. It's a brand new season, fresh slate. This is the first time I've ever watched Suns basketball. Just pretend. It's great. You'll let go of literally 41 years of trauma in an instant. You're welcome.
To be honest,
therapize.
I am therapized. I'm forgetting things left and right these days, so we might not be far off on that.
I'm just saying, I really think it could help you a lot. All right, gentlemen, let's get this show back on track here. We have a few things from Coach Bud. First and foremost, here's what he had to say on the Suns staying together to weather this storm.
Yeah, these guys, I think stay together. They're going to – it's a good group. They've got a good spirit. They've got a good way about them, through good times and the hard times. You got to keep doing, coming to work, putting your individual time, put your team time in. And, keep your head up. So this group will do that. They're very good. They're very resilient.
I think everybody on the team understands where they're at, and I do see a lot of effort specifically from some players who aren't usually getting minutes, like a Monte or a Josh Okogie, even an Ighoodaro out there. And they are trying. They're just outmatched. And I think one of the reasons why I'm choosing to believe in the optimistic side of everything right now is because of that guy. is because of Mike Budenholzer. If this was Frank Vogel leading the team and it was the same thing as last year, I would be on the complete other side. I'd say the nightmare scenario is the realistic scenario, and that's it. But there's something about him that just feels like he's going to be able to pull the strings when they're right. And even when things have been bad, he hasn't been going the safe route. He's still been experimenting and testing things where I don't know if he's necessarily had to do that. I think he's playing the long game, and I have a lot more faith in him to handle this situation than the last couple of coaches the Suns have had.
Young Padawan. I feel like I said the same about Frank Vogel last year and Monty Williams the years before. We can forget about those coaches after Alvin Gentry between there. But, look, no, I tend to agree. I think that Budenholzer has a pretty good grasp on all this. And you can't have your coach get on the highs or the lows. You can't have your superstars do that either. There's a reason that fans short for fanatical, and it's Wire Chat and me and everybody else goes those ways. But I think Mike Budenholzer is a guy, Steven, that it can really be that anchor and help you stay grounded in all this that's going to happen this year.
Yes, I don't think that. I feel like the disposition of Mike Budenholzer, like we talk about him not being the most rah-rah, get excited coach. We talk about the speech that ultimately led to them winning the championship pregame that ESPN recorded, where he's like, all right, let's go out there, play random, and let's have some fun. Like within the most stoic, even kill, energy. Like that's him. He's not going to get too high, but he's also never going to get too low. And I feel like when you have a coach that's not emotionally responsive to the present, understanding the big picture, and also past understanding the big picture, trusting his ability to pull the right strings and his coaching staff in addition to himself as an extension, that I think is something that I find great solace in for the team long term. I'm not going to say he's the specific reason why I don't panic about this team even through this low moment, but he's a big piece in that. And I think that the other biggest takeaway, if I come back to the question that I asked a few minutes ago, the buy-in we saw from every single person, that buy-in combined with his temperament, combined with his ability to get the most out of players outside of the big three, Royce O'Neal, Ryan Dunn, also Ighoodaro, Grayson Allen, I'm sure is going to come at some point. There's a lot there. There's a whole lot there.
It feels different this year. You can't deny that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it really, truly does. If you listen to what the guys are saying after games, you listen to what they're saying at practices, how their body language is, their reaction to tough situations, it feels different. You can ask everyone in that room, Gerald included, day-to-day basis. It is night and day.
So Chica in the chat says, y'all are making me laugh. This is just rinse and repeat. I remember y'all saying the same thing about Frank Vogel. Now it's Mike Budenholzer. I think the difference is, and I was definitely on the Vogel hype train. And at the time that Vogel got hired, I was at a job where I was cutting all the audio and I listened to the entire press conference, and everything he said, it felt like it had meaning. It felt like I was like, oh, PhD in superstar relations. Like this is the guy. And what you saw with Frank Vogel is that it was a lot of talk from him. And when you talk about relating to superstars and leading, he just didn't do that. With Mike Budenholzer, we got literal firsthand accounts on media day before this team actually started playing basketball about him holding the team accountable, pulling Bradley Beal into his office and telling him, you need to change how you play in this certain sense in order to fit our mold. He's been bold, he has been strategic, and he has done things like change the Suns' identity to the point that Kevin Durant and Devin Booker have shot more threes. Now, has it led to perfect results so far? No. But that's somebody who has pull. That's somebody who's a leader. And what were we asking 60 games into the season last year is, who's the Suns' leader? Where is Frank Vogel? That's not going to happen this year, and we've seen that already. That's what the difference is.
Yeah, I mean, he did lead them to 8-1 record when they had the deck full. That's the question, though. Will he have that? And if he doesn't, how creative can he get if he only has 2 of the 3 or 1 of the 3? And right now, we're seeing that there's limitations to what he can do based on who's there. And I think that's going to be the downfall, because you can be a great leader, but if you don't have the pieces in place, you're not going to be able to make magic happen as much as you want it to.
All right, guys, we'll dive more into this here in just a minute.
I see you.
But first, another quick break. America's Thirst Stop. Have you heard of it? Circle K? Have you heard of their new Inner Circle, the free membership program they've got? It's pretty great. You guys should absolutely join today. First and foremost, you're going to get 25 cents off per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups if you're traveling for the holidays. That's a great way to utilize that. But you save 3 cents every single day. You can save up to 5 cents per gallon once you reach a certain threshold, and plenty of other member exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, members can enjoy an exclusive beverage deal. Inner Circle members like you can get any size Polar Pop or Froster for just 79 cents. So join Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details. And another quick reminder, because it's been a minute since I told you, get the dark chocolate covered almonds, put them in the freezer, and thank me later.
Steven, do you like getting lucky? Our friends at Gila River Resorts and Casinos can help you.
That
You
could
didn't
have
know
gone
where that
so
was
many
going.
different ways.
That's what I love about
Steve
it.
was like, I don't know where this is going.
Look, I love
call
our
it
friends.
timeout.
I love our friends over at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. I was actually heartbroken that I did not get to spend Sunday out at Wild Horse Pass with you guys, because I truly love the food out there. I love the vibe. I hate that word, but they got it in spades out there. And they got spades and diamonds
sure.
and hearts and all the different suits of cards at their poker tables as well. So I want you to head out there. They got 4 locations out there: Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, V-Kiva, and Santan Mountain. You can experience the best that the Valley has to offer. We're going to be hosting events all year, including Cards watch parties and our Suns watch parties as well. So stay tuned for more information on how you can come hang out with us. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details.
All right. So we have a super chat here from Who's Man. They said, Book needs to realize his team will react to his play. A couple of back-to-back Book buckets will trigger someone to shoot better. No hoops equals no hype.
I don't disagree with you there. And I also think that plays into yesterday afternoon's game, where you also saw Book's activity on defense rise with his offensive contributions. When he got in a rhythm, it just felt like a different game. He felt like a different player. The team will always go off of their best player. And like I mentioned earlier in the show, when you're waiting for the pockets and you're letting the game come to you, that's great. When you're not the only star out there, he needs to act like he's the only star. And usually the other players will play better around him, Steven, because when he plays like a star, it opens up the court for everybody else in their role to do what they were signed to do, which is play off of a star.
Yeah, I've likened Devin Booker a couple of times now to James Conner. The Cardinals have a game script. You know they're going to come out. It's going to be some iteration of James Conner getting the ball on the handoff to start the game and set the tone. Devin Booker is the tone setter for the Phoenix Suns, whether that be with his offense or his defense or both, like we saw against Minnesota. He has to find a way for him to hit those notes early in the game so that everything else falls in line, whether Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal are in the lineup or one of them isn't or both of them aren't. I feel like everything starts with him. He sets a better tone. Things typically come in succession from that in a positive way.
Look, you bring up James Conner. I have a theory, and I'll talk more about it probably at a later time, but I look at the Suns kind of like a baseball team. Devin Booker's your starter. Kevin Durant's your closer.
Yeah.
If you need a middle reliever, that's Bradley Beal when Book or Katie isn't on the court. And Devin Booker having those traditional fast starts in a first quarter and giving you that burst in a third quarter, maybe the beginning of a fourth, is what you need. And then we've seen how valuable Kevin Durant is at closing a game, right? Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the recipe for success. And the problem is when you're missing Kevin at the end of a game, where that Minnesota game's a win if Kevin Durant's out there,
for sure.
right?
For sure.
No doubt about it. And that's not a knock on Book. There's just guys have different pockets in games that they're best at. Kevin Durant is an elite closer. He's a guy that performs in the clutch at an unbelievable rate. It's a reason why he's on the Mount Rushmore for NBA players. Like that's the recipe for success. And when you remove parts of that, it becomes more difficult to do that. But I think you're 100% right. Book's the tone setter. Get him out there, get him going in that first quarter, and then other guys will play off that.
Well, here's what Coach Bud had to say on how the Suns can get Book going better with all the attention he's getting.
It's I think sometimes maybe moving him, getting him off the ball some, but if they put 2 to him, that's part of the first question. I think there are some good looks, and if they put 2 to him and he shares it and we move it, and you get good looks, I think that we got a lot of faith in our guys. We're going to make those more often than not. So I think to use them to draw 2 is good, and then sometimes we got to try and free them up, maybe away from the ball or different ways.
And it's the latter end of what Coach Budenholzer mentioned. Got to figure out how to free them up in other ways, which is literally what you and me just got done speaking to open the show. Drawing 2 to the ball is an offense in and of itself. That's great. You can go to it whenever you want to. Literally just put the ball in his hands, and he's going to have that gravity in multiple capacities. And then what? What else do you do in addition to that? You can't just run that all game like the Houston Rockets did with James Harden in Mike D'Antoni's era. It has to be more than that for this team to win games like this, especially without the other 2 of the big 3.
Well, and the irony is probably the biggest turning point where you felt like the Suns might have been able to make a comeback was they were doing that with Grayson Allen trying to run him off a double screen there, and Grayson got called for the offensive foul.
Yep.
So you can see that they're trying to figure it out, but they just haven't quite gotten there, Eric. And I think that's if they start hitting that groove, that's when things start to change a little.
I think there's a couple things playing into here at once. Obviously, the injuries. This is also a brutal time in the schedule, and you're also playing some really good defensive teams with some great defensive coaches. Jamal Mosley in Orlando, Oklahoma City and Mark Dagnall, of course, Minnesota and Chris Finch. Even Utah can be a good defensive team as well and are well coached. But at the same time, Devin Booker has not been put in the spots that he needs to be in to succeed, but Devin Booker also hasn't created those spots. Everything is happening all at once, and you're seeing the worst that we've seen Devin Booker play in quite some time. I feel like we're almost beating a dead horse here at this point. The thing is, there are circumstances that have led to this. There are a lot of things that could lead to changing it, whether it's other people hitting shots and having more gravity, if that is a Royce O'Neal, or Grayson Allen continues getting back on track like he was able to do. If it is Mike Budenholzer, running more plays for him, getting him off ball. But the original game plan for Book going into the season was not to be the guy that we're asking him to be right now. And he's had to go up and down and up and down. I'll do it in the Olympics, to I'll be a star when our players are injured, to I'll be, not stepping on the game when they're not. It's hard to do that. But our expectations for him are different.
But if Devin Booker is supposed to be a top 15 player in the NBA, he's supposed to be a star, that's what you do.
Yes.
You figure it out.
Absolutely. And that's why it's still on him in all of this. He's the head of the snake when it comes to these problems. There are things that lead to it, but he is good enough, and he has always been good enough, and I will stand that he is good enough. I don't care how bad he is. If he's bad for another month, I will always stand on what I've seen from Devin Booker, is that he can be and has the ability to be a top 10 player in this league. And if you are that good, you will be held to those standards when you're not performing like it. And right now, he is not performing like it. The stars get the credit and they get the blame. That's how this game works.
All right, gentlemen, let's go ahead and go back to a few additional pieces of tonight's game. I know we spent a lot of time talking about Devin Booker, but he wasn't the only reason that the Suns lost this game. We're going to look inside the box to take a deeper dive at some of the numbers presented by Desert Financial Credit Union, Arizona's #1 credit union named by Forbes.
You gotta.
What's
he
in the
was
box?
editing something else. It's okay.
All right.
We just don't want to see the numbers. Screw the numbers.
I mean,
we don't care. We're moving on.
We watched it live. Do you really want to see these
Yes,
numbers?
because it's sponsored. We have to look at the numbers.
Brought to you
Bad
on
versus good. That's it.
Oh, my goodness.
We thank our
gracious.
friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. There we go.
Oh, my God.
So just taking a look at the numbers, this game was not nearly as bad as it seemed in terms of watching it on the box score for the Suns, in terms of them doing the things on the margins that they needed to give themselves a puncher's chance at the end of the game, which is what they got close to getting. Start first looking at the bench points. The bench reserve players for the Suns continue to find ways to have an impact on the game that exceeds in terms of points scored what their opponents are getting from their reserve units. And that's something that's a big takeaway from this moment and stretch without the other 2 of the big 3 in the lineup for the Suns. 39 points from the bench versus 36 from the Orlando Magic is important. Another big thing, talk about the Suns winning on the margins. one of the biggest margins for the team in determining how good they're going to be or how great they're going to be is rebounding. This Orlando Magic team is not the best rebounding team, but they are a physical group that certainly outsized the Suns without Kevin Durant. Bradley Beal doesn't help that much to that, but he gives you effort and extra efforts within that. The Suns were able to win and get second chance rebounds and points off of those rebounds on consistency in this game. And it's little things on the margins like that I feel like are going to really help them once this team gets back home.
Well, and this is a case of where the math doesn't math,
exactly,
right?
Yep.
You only hit 12 threes out of 41. If you hit at the clip that you usually do, you're in business here. But there's nights if you go cold like that, you're not going to be able to win. I don't care who's out there. If you go 12 of 41 from deep, you're going to have a tough time pulling off a victory.
I look at free throws more than I look at anything else on these numbers because Orlando's a really good defensive team. Very good. And in live ball action, holding Phoenix to poor shooting percentages, it's what they do. But nobody's got a hand in your face when you're at the free throw line. Those are the easy ones. You're 17 of 25. That's 68%. You missed 8 free throws in a game that ended up being decided by 10 points. There was a certain period of time at the end of the game where Phoenix had the momentum shift back to them. If they had 6 of those 8 points, 5 of those 8 points, you could be talking about a completely different game. You need to hit the easy ones in situations without your stars, and especially in situations where you're playing lockdown defensive teams without your stars.
I don't know what the numbers look like for the Suns this year from the charity stripe, but it feels like they're absolute boo-boo. Like, send it straight to the Cheeks clinics. And I might be very dramatic and over-exaggerating with that, but it's like every game I'm just like, why are we missing our free throws? What are we doing? You guys remember back when you would miss free throws and the next day at practice you had to run suicides for every single one of them? Can we bring that back maybe? Just like
I don't need them running any more than they're already running.
I know.
I'm guessing no since they're millionaires.
Let's build it in where every free throw you miss throughout the season, you have to run a suicide once the season's over.
That sounds like something Frank Vogel would have done. That was Frank Vogel's accountability, was running suicides after missing free throws.
No, I'm really tired of missing free throws.
But listen, there's a coach that was in the dark times of the Chicago Bulls over the last handful of years that is not a head coach anymore for reasons in particular in alignment with your train of thought, Lindsay. So
Fred Hoiberg?
You said that, not me, but it wasn't him though.
No,
it wasn't him though. No.
Hey, it's okay because I'm not trying to
He came after Fred, actually.
Okay. Yeah. Look, it's the old free throws are free until you miss them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Then they're costly.
Then they costly. Yep, for sure.
All right, guys. On the other side, we're going to talk about a couple positives from tonight's game, and we'll be joined by the one and only Gerald Bourguet. But first, a quick break. Desert Financial Credit Union. Listen, if you are an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial Credit Union. It's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with exclusive debit cards branded with your favorite teams. And for more than 84 years, Desert Financial has been Arizona's largest, most trusted local credit unions, dedicated to creating exceptional experiences by giving back to the community and providing financial solutions that make lives better. You can look to them for checking and savings accounts, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and so much more. You want to join a credit union that is committed to giving back to the community and sharing success with its members. When you open a free checking account online, you're going to get $200 in bonuses. So get started by visiting desertfinancial.com/200. Don't leave your $200 in bonuses on the table.
Look, there is a lot going on here at PHNX over the next 6 weeks. I got to tell you, because I've helped plan all of it, it's a lot, right? And I want to welcome you to come join us on New Year's Eve in a suite at a Phoenix Suns game. We're going to see the Suns take on the Memphis Grizzlies, Ja Morant. Look, I'm going to guarantee that Beal and KD and Book will all play there. Not a guarantee. I'm just going to say it.
Dude.
Come on out. You can check it out. We're going to have game tickets, food and drink, including alcohol included in that, and you can hang with some of your favorite Suns podcasters and us, I guess. So tickets are available at gophnx.com/events. And then don't forget, we got another watch party coming up on December 7th, Suns watch party out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. So come out there as well.
All right, everybody, it's time.
In the darkness, beyond the light, there shall only be one. Welcome to
Hello, Gerald. I hope you're doing better than we are today. What's going on?
I'm doing all right. Why is everybody not doing so well?
Well, we're just really tired of losing, and we would love if Devin Booker could play like he played yesterday every single day, no matter what the situation is, but we don't get that. But here's the thing. I promised everybody in the chat that we would be a little bit more positive when you're on. So we'll start with some positivity. We have not yet talked about Ighoodaro in this one, and I feel like he deserves some love. I know Tyus Jones said some things about Oso. Share with us what the team and coach had to say about Oso's first NBA career start.
Yeah, I mean, they were all very complimentary of what Oso was able to do out there. Obviously, he had, I think, the 12 points, 7 rebounds, a couple of steals, shot the ball really efficiently. It was kind of funny to hear him say afterwards, I had a couple that I missed that I should have made. And it was like, I think you shot 6 for 8, dude. But, that's good that you're setting the bar high for yourself. I think he did a nice job of trying to make that dual big lineup work again tonight. In terms of him not being a three-point shooter, but timing his baseline cuts really well, setting good screens, finding space for his push shot and his floater in the lane there. And actually, if we had the clip, like Tyus Jones was very complimentary about what Oso was able to do in his first NBA start as well.
I thought it was good. I thought he's been preparing for that moment. So I was excited for him, happy for him. A lot of hard work going into that, and it's not going to be his last. So I thought he was ready to play. Brought great energy for us tonight. And the moment wasn't too big, so it's good.
Yeah, so the moment wasn't too big for him. He did well in his first start. Obviously Ryan Dunn was echoing what a lot of people were saying in the locker room. They wish that they could have gotten the win in his first start, obviously, but the Suns have been really impressed with what the rookies have been able to come in and do. The fact that, yes, you preferably would not have to be starting 2 rookies at this point in the season due to injuries, but the fact that both of them have come in ready, both of them have come in able to contribute. And I think Tyus Jones said it, the fact that when we realized that these rookies are going to be starting tonight, none of us winced, none of us were concerned. We felt comfortable with those guys filling those roles. So that's an encouraging thing because, as we well know, the draft can be a bit of a crapshoot for this franchise especially. But in this draft, it feels like they nailed both of them.
It was so much fun watching Oso out there tonight. I mean, we had two-handed dunk, we had a monster jam, a little putback, some nice passes. Like, Oso was really living his best life tonight, it felt like. If only we could have gotten the W for him, too.
Yeah. Gerald, we both had conversations about Devin Booker's usage and the process within it and the why, even more so, of why more things aren't being done and why other things could be done and what's in his control versus what's coaching. I know we got to see Mike Budenholzer's kind of comment about that part of the process, but I guess for you personally, what would you attribute more of his inconsistencies to? Do you feel like they're cycling through enough of him being blended on ball and off ball, or where is he kind of leaving more to be desired for you in particular?
I think with any type of conversation like this, it's all of the things conspiring at the same time. I think Book has to be better about hitting shots when he does get his openings to attack, when he's not, being overloaded with double teams or triple teams or things like that. Because he just hasn't been shooting the ball well, and tonight was another example of that. But I do think, again, you've got to give Orlando's defense credit. The Suns' schedule has done them no favors in this regard. For this stretch to be without Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal against another elite defensive team like Orlando, even without Paolo Banchero, they're a very good defensive team, just like the Thunder are. And they have a lot of length. They threw multiple defenders at Book all night. trapped him, double teamed him. And the Suns, again, really didn't do a good job of hitting shots to space the floor around him. So, again, for me, it's a combination of they need to be better about executing out of those schemes and actually hitting the shots that they're generating. But some of the looks that they're generating are pretty solid. This will be something that'll be part of my article over at gophnx.com tomorrow. I already wrote about it over the weekend. But again, it feels like we keep coming back to this place where it's the worst case scenario of when you are missing two of your big three, other guys have to hit shots, and Devin Booker has to be on point in every sense. I think whenever he's on the ball, he's getting double teamed immediately in the pick and roll. And I think he's getting off the ball quickly and well, but at that point, he doesn't get back into play. And I think he's exerting a lot of energy to get the shots that he's generating right now, which is why he looks so fatigued out there. He looks like everything just getting up shots as they battle for him right now, just trying to find the space where he can attack. And some of them, when he does get shots, feel forced because of it. Some of the pull-up threes, I know we want him to take pull-up threes, but some of them did feel a bit like, man, I finally got an opening. I got to fire this. Otherwise, I don't know when I'm going to get my next shot. And that type of thing is not good for a rhythm player like Devin Booker to kind of get in that rhythm.
Gerald, I went kind of dark earlier in the program, so I'm going to keep positivity with this next question. How'd the jerseys in the court look in person tonight?
They look great, honestly. Like, I know the jerseys could have been taken up to a whole nother level if they had just had the cactus where the numbers are. I think we've all been in agreement on that. But the jerseys do look good. I like the shorts with them as well. I think this is another case of where we see the jersey, we have our initial reactions, and then it kind of grows on you, especially once you see it paired with the shorts, and especially the court, because that court needs to be the new standard. It needs to be the new default. It's just absolutely flawless. It's the best one in the NBA by far. So love the court, like the jerseys, wish that they had been able to ring those in with a better result tonight.
Gerald, I'm calling you up, not calling you out, but you're just not asking the questions that truly matter at these post-game press conferences. How is Bol not getting 20 to 25 minutes a night, Gerald? I'm quoting somebody in his mentions, but we did see some second quarter Bol action. Did he prove anything to you today?
Not really. I mean, I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a downer. I know we're trying to keep it positive, but honestly, not really. I think tonight it was because Nurk was out and they went with that dual big lineup. They needed another big coming off the bench, so Bol got his opportunity there. It wasn't like terrible or anything, but it wasn't good either for me. So it's one of those things where they just needed spot minutes tonight.
Gerald, what else stood out to you from this game or what you heard from coach and the players after it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear that the team is not in great spirits at the moment, and understandably so. They're 1-5 over these last 6 games, which just so happens to be when Kevin Durant went out. And you could tell, like we talked about this yesterday, they needed to get yesterday's win, because I think the momentum from putting together a good performance, from Book bouncing back and beating a quality team, would have carried over into a game like this. Even if they hadn't won because Orlando played a really good game, I think they could have ridden that momentum. I think it was very demoralizing when they felt like they did enough to win yesterday and just didn't get the W. And I think that kind of bled over into tonight. You could see their defensive focus wasn't there. Their execution wasn't as sharp as it was yesterday. Obviously, Book did not have anywhere near the type of game that he had yesterday. So I think it's demoralizing when you look at this recent stretch, but I do think they're also cognizant of the fact that they need to get through this next week, hopefully get KD and Bradley Beal back here in the near future, and go back to being the team that was 8-1 when they were perfectly healthy. I know that it's unfortunate the way that they've kind of spiraled over the last week or so, but we knew this coming in. If the big three is healthy, you've got a chance to be an elite team. And if they're not, we're kind of seeing what they are.
Grayson Allen, 8 3-pointers made, fresh off of the injury list through 2 games. What have you seen, and what's been your general assessment of his activity levels since being reinserted into the rotation?
Yeah, I mean, Tyus Jones said it best. Like, when he plays like that, it's obviously big for us. I feel like him coming off the bench and scoring that many points is not going to be the standard, especially once everyone's healthy, but they need it badly right now. And just having a guy who can reliably knock down 3-point shots right now is huge, because We've seen Royce's three-point percentage plummet since KD went out. Ryan Dunn has obviously been pretty cold since the start of November, basically. Tyus Jones has really been hit or miss, especially over the last handful of games. So they need guys that are, A, willing to take those shots, and B, capable of taking them. And you notice Grayson spacing well beyond the three-point line. There's been a lot of focus on him putting on a lot of muscle and it affecting his game or whatever, but his range is even further than it was last season. I think he's done a good job of putting the ball on the floor and attacking the basket, getting to the free throw line a little bit too. One thing, they got to make more free throws, man. I think they missed 8 or 9 tonight, and that alone could have changed the outcome of this game or at least made it much closer down the stretch. And they've been missing quite a few free throws over these last handful of games. So good looks from Grayson overall, but a couple of things like everybody else on this team that could be a little bit better.
Yeah, we were very upset about the free throws, and I'm sure we'll continue to talk about it. And as always, if you are watching on TV, the conversation always continues over at gophnx.com. You can find all the information you need there about the Suns, Gerald's articles, and any other team in the Valley that you are interested in at, again, gophnx.com. Gerald, any final thoughts? We'll see you tomorrow and another game on Wednesday. Obviously, the ball keeps on rolling, and hopefully one day the Suns will catch up to it, right?
That's right.
Ask the important questions, Gerald.
Bye, Gerald.
Will do.
Everybody be sure to give Gerald a follow on social at Gerald Bourget, not at PHNX_Sun.
You can follow that too.
You can, but Gerald is specifically at Gerald Bourget. All right, guys, are you ready to name our big, bright, shiny star? It's time for the big, bright, shiny star presented by Gila River Resorts and Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit play@gila.com for more details.
I'm a big, bright, shining star.
Of course, we had to give it to the rookie Oso Ighoodaro for getting his first start in the NBA. He finished with a new career high, 12 points. He had 2 steals, 2 assists, and 7 rebounds in that as well. He was 6 of 8 from the field. I loved what we saw from Oso tonight.
Incredible dunks. Some people saying he was channeling Amari Stoudemire. I don't know if he was all the way there yet, but he's pretty dang close, especially with that one-handed one. He is extremely athletic, has incredible intangibles, and is showing very early as a second-round rookie that he doesn't even really need to develop a shooting touch to be a role player in this league. So if he adds anything, whether it's more consistency on the floater or the ability to step out just a little bit or maybe hit a free throw or two, if he's able to correct those things, which usually smart players are pretty good at, this is somebody who could have a decade-long NBA career with all the other things that he brings to the court. The Suns got a steal in the second round, Espo.
I actually thought my favorite play wasn't one of those dunks. It wasn't how well he played on the perimeter defensively. It was the pass he had to Mason Plumlee under the hoop. Because the court vision, the ability to complete that pass, those are the little things that will keep him on the court, even if he struggles at a free throw line or whatever the case may be. Those little things will keep him on the floor.
He is a little things specialist, and I think that's his staying power combined with his IQ, and they work hand in hand, one after the other, vice versa. I'm going to take some time to talk about Oso screening. Screening is an art. Screening is a skill. And I would preach that until the day I'm no longer able to talk basketball. Oso is a player that excels in that, coming from the collegiate game and it translating to the NBA game. He combines his screen setting skill with his IQ. An example I'm thinking of, Devin Booker goes up for that monster one-hand jam, but how did he even get that opportunity? They were switching at that point. They had Jonathan Isaac on Oso Ighoodaro. He's getting a position off of Oso's screen to prepare to switch for Devin Booker to flatten him out. Oso Ighoodaro sprints up from underneath the basket, and he doesn't just flow into the screen on the side that he starts on. He flips the angle, and Isaac has to respond in accordance to him flipping that angle, which then opens up the driving lane that gives Devin Booker the reaction advantage downhill. Now, he missed the dunk, but he doesn't even get that opportunity, which at the rim is something that we want to see more from Devin Booker without also being able to set it up in presentation that way.
Well, and seeing it on the fly too, the fact that he processes it that fast to actually know to switch that angle, that's what's special about him. We talk about it on the watch along. How many guys in today's NBA can have that ugly of a shot outside of 12 feet and could actually have impactful minutes in a game? Very few. And also is having that because he can see those little things. He can do those things and he can react on a dime to what's going on out on the floor.
And that's the positive of everything right now. If you're a dooming Suns fan spiraling, saying it's all over, if it is all over, if the season is a wash, at least you get to give more minutes to a guy like Ighoodaro and be able to see him grow, because he's already proven that the more run he gets on the court, the more chemistry he develops quickly with his stars and the other players, and the better decisions he makes. We saw it against Minnesota with some very timely cuts that him and Book connected on, and we saw it today as well. This is somebody that, if being injured means you're digging deep into your bench, it means that Ighoodaro is getting more minutes. And I will take that over Yuta Watanabe. I'll take that over Keita Bates-Diop. I'll take that over Drew Eubanks. And I'm not even trying to disrespect or shade any of those players. Even if they were good, they weren't young prospects. They weren't people to get excited about. And Ighoodaro is someone to get excited about, and most likely will be a fan favorite for as long as he's here.
There's always a silver lining in some capacity if you look for it, and that is the silver lining to injuries. Does it suck in maybe the grand scheme of things? Totally. But other players are getting opportunities, and we have two rookies who we would love to be able to give those opportunities to so that they can fast track their development, because they're already able to contribute. So if we can fast track that even more, then we're in a really good spot. And I know I saw somebody point out in the chat, somebody mentioned a comment that they're concerned about Ryan Dunn because his 3-point shot has kind of been struggling lately, but it's a reminder, again, they are rookies. And even though both of them have shown us really, really bright spots so far this season, they're still rookies. They're going to have ups and downs. They're going to go through tough spots. They're going to hit that rookie wall at some point in time as well. But that's just part of the journey of being a rookie.
And we've seen Royce O'Neal slump with Kevin Durant out. Role players always take a hit, especially shooting on the perimeter. And Ryan Dunn's the type of guy that needs that extra inch or so of space that you're not getting when all the focus is on Devin Booker. I'm not worried about Ryan Dunn.
Can I throw a topic out there that we didn't discuss because I'm an agent of chaos and why not? Are we undervaluing the importance of Bradley Beal to this team? Because I know KD's out, but they're 0-4 since Bradley Beal has been out as well. And he was doing a lot of the little things like we talked about on both ends of the floor. He was another guy who could help offensively. I feel like there's been an undervaluing of the importance of that as well to Devin Booker, because it is another running mate for him out there.
I will say, I'll plug and shout out the conversation that Gerald and I were able to have about 2.5 weeks ago with Tim Legler. And we spoke at length about Bradley Beal being the key that unlocks the optimized level of play for everybody. And that being the biggest project piece for Mike Budenholzer to invest in. Figuring out how can I get more out of Bradley Beal outside of being featured with the other two big three, but also with all three of them on the floor. You can figure out pockets to feature Devin Booker in. Kevin Durant, you don't have to figure anything out for him because he just puts the ball in the basket whenever he wants to or however he wants to. But Bradley Beal being able to get to that level, unlocking everything else. So, yes, to your point, absolutely. We are underrating him, and I feel like his absence is certainly being felt amidst everything that we're speaking to with the inconsistencies.
Well, he also brings just a boost of energy, too, right? Like, if there is one person you can't say doesn't play hard, it's Bradley Beal. Like, he goes hard. And he can be that burst of energy. And then, like you said, both sides, defensively, Bradley Beal's been on top of things a lot this season. So, yeah, absolutely. But I think also you could make the argument out of those three, missing two of any of them is going to be detrimental to your team, whether it's Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, or if it's Booker and Durant, or Beal and Book. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
it would be
and
better
that's-
to have two than one for sure.
Well, and that's kind of the thing, Espo. The reason why I feel like now is showing why this team misses Bradley Beal is because you got Bradley Beal to help make up for the situations when you were without Kevin Durant, when you were without Devin Booker, the same way that you have the other two to make up for when you don't have Bradley Beal. And that's why it's so, like, apocalyptic when two or more of them miss at the same time, because you go from, oh man, we're almost redundant, which I always hate that term, but a lot of people use that for this big three, to we need exactly what you're bringing. And energy, scoring, toughness is what Bradley Beal brings, but he doesn't bring consistency in the sense of, he's going to be on the court. He is one of, if not maybe the most important piece for this team, simply because he's missed the most, but when he does play, he's the only way that they hit their ceiling. It's a tough situation with Beal because he is one of the most valuable players on this team, but a lot of people don't see it that way.
Well, and look, that's not dismissing. Losing Kevin Durant is a huge blow to what they were doing, and late game situations is where you feel it massively without Kevin Durant. But I feel like the wheels completely fell off when you lost Bradley Beal. And let's be honest, you're screwed if you're missing two of these three regardless.
Yep.
But watching this, I think there has been a great undervaluing of the little things that Beal adds to it. I know that when you sign up for a $50 million price tag, you're not looking for the little things as the biggest thing that a guy brings, but I think that has had a massive impact as well. And when you get him back in the fold and KD back in the fold, obviously the picture changes dramatically.
And the big thing with Bradley Beal, we continue to tap the sign on this. He is the team's best driver of the basketball. Whether he's working off the ball and he's stampeding the catch, getting downhill immediately, whether he's working in pick and roll, whether he's working in transition, isolation, no one gets a better volume of paint touches in the variety of ways that he can, which naturally and inevitably collapses the entire defense. The paint touch is king for the Suns, and that's where they get the most healthier three-point opportunities for Kevin Durant, Devin Booker, et cetera, et cetera.
All right, we do have a couple super chats here. Omar sent us one. Thank you, Omar. They said, look to the bright side. Early season, tough schedule and injuries to middle to late season, easy schedule and healthy.
That's the thing.
You do have a good point.
There's a lot that can change in the next couple of months.
Games out of the way now.
I mean,
you hope for the healthy part, though. That's the thing. That's not guaranteed.
Yeah, well,
the schedule
speak it into
is,
existence. Manifest it.
Well,
of course.
Yeah.
Hey, the more they're off the court, the more days they can't get injured.
I mean, it's bite your tongue.
That is flawed math.
Actually, we have seen Bradley Beal's injury designation change like 3 times.
Let's not. Yeah, no.
It's a joke.
No.
Nothing serious.
No, knock on wood, touch metal, whatever your thing is. Let's not jinx
Trust me, I'm not the
anything
one
else.
who's jinxing
also
the Phoenix Suns.
sent us a super chat. Thank you, Lucas. They said, "Is the sky already falling?" In all caps. 16 games in.
Yeah,
laughing
looks like
face, crying face.
The
silly
sky is
face.
not falling.
I
I
don't know,
appreciate
Lucas. I
the
think
play.
it is.
Appreciate the play on words. Well, I would hope that for certain fans that they have, the long-term perspective to kind of see past this low and acknowledging that they're not whole right now. Don't put yourself through what you ended the season with after they got swept after a 5-game or 4-game, however many game losing streak that this is, while the team is a shell of itself in health right now.
Yeah, look, there's only so much you can do with the health the way it is.
Yeah.
And look, it all's not lost until you lose by double digits on Christmas. So
Oh no. If you feel like the sky is falling, though, just take some advice from the great T-Pain. It is absolutely free to go outside and look at effing birds. It's absolutely free.
She been itching to use that one. That is hilarious.
It is one of my favorite things that has graced the internet in the year of our Lord and Savior 2024. T-Pain with the facts. Instead of go outside and touch grass, you go outside and you look at birds.
birds aren't real, Lindsay.
Well,
Right?
then,
Okay,
exactly,
let's
even
wrap
more
this show up.
better
No,
way
turn the lights off.
to spend
Play the
your
outro music. I don't know.
That
Listen,
was
I
big
would say-
tinfoil hat energy.
I would say we would look at our bets, but we all lost. So We're all $10 lighter.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on Wednesday.
Hey, look at who's in the green. All right.
Whatever.
Jeez,
Espo,
that
we
looks
hate you.
so bad.
It does. That's not great at all.
Oh, man.
Blessings. All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us. We appreciate you all for being here. One more time, hit that thumbs up button if you're here with us on YouTube. Rate, review, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, follow the show on social at PHNX_Suns. You can also follow me at Lindsay Smith AZ. You can follow Eric at Eric Ruby with a K. You can follow Steven at Steven PG3 and Espo at Espo. Espo, take us home.
2 things. Please don't talk about the magic being out of my pants. And second,
What?
we tell you that, go outside and touch grass. You should probably go smoke some too, because you guys are really uppity right now. Ahoy, hoy.
We all silly like the mayor.